I've been thinking this week about the 3 games that have influenced my appreciation of the medium the most. And this is off the back of a conversation I've had with a sort of writing colleague via email. And I've also kind of been thinking about positivity in criticism. And criticism is naturally very negative because it's criticism. That's the word, isn't it? Really, criticism is inherently negative because you are pointing out something's flaws. That's kind of the aim. When I review a game for a website, I look at the good and I look at the bad, and more often than not, it's pointing out the flaws in the game because really, if you think about it, the flaws in the game are the things that are going to affect whether or not you enjoy the game most. I mean, if something has a really fantastic tiny little seed of inspiration and creativity, maybe some wanky pretentious people like me might find that interesting, that have access to some of these things and a somewhat disposable income. But most people are going to go, do you know what, this isn't that good because this tiny little seed of inspiration doesn't make up for the fact that the controls feel like jam, for example. But anyway, negativity, it's abundant in games criticism, and what I wanted to do is be a little bit more positive, especially in this vlog. I'll probably not be positive ever again, especially on my Twitter account at XeroXeroXero.com. No, at 000 on Twitter.com. Yes. Some people think that these aren't recorded live. Yeah, so, but I want to be positive, and I wanted to sort of, make sure that I was putting something good out there onto YouTube, and we all need to smile once in a while. We all need to be reminded of why we love video games, and because of that, I'm going to tell you about 3 games that influenced me the most in my life and my appreciation of video games. The first is this one. It is Super Mario Brothers for the NES, and that's the original cartridge that I played when I was young. I held this when I was 5 years old. Put this into a Nintendo Entertainment System when I was 5 years old. That is touching your own history, isn't it? That is mad. But the reason that I would say that that was an influential game is because I enjoyed the way that it felt. I enjoyed the tactile response that the game had. The fact that I had a presence within the game. I had a gravity. My character of Mario, when he ran, he wouldn't just stop when you let go of the right button. You would be able to run and then hit duck and then you would slide. And that was kind of, it wasn't a physics engine, at that time, but it felt real, and it kind of, that technological fun is kind of what hooked me when I was 5 or 6 years old, and what made me think, oh, these are cool. I'm going to enjoy these for a bit, and not really develop social skills, that kind of thing, yeah, so that's kind of why it's there, and it's fantastic. And it kind of, at the time, it made me think, I'm controlling something with 2 little buttons, up, down, left, right, select, and start, and I am making something move on my television set. I mean, sit back for a second and just think, like, we're very spoiled. We are very, very spoiled with our PlayStation 3s and our Xbox 360s and our Nintendo Wii's and our Phantom blackboards, and we forget that it's really quite incredible technology to make something that is just magic in a box appear on a screen. It may as well be magic. I don't know how it works, but that is really quite incredible. And for a 5-year-old, that will blow your fucking mind. So there's one. The other game, number 2 is Metal Gear Solid, the original for the PlayStation 1. That was lent to me by a friend called Paul Bramson, I think. We teased him about chutney and pickle and stuff. He lent me the game when, I think it was the year it was released, and that was a time in my life when I was kind of getting bored with games. They weren't really doing anything much, and I had a 64, and that wasn't really that much fun, and Nintendo was kind of losing its edge for me, and I was interested in girls, that sort of thing. And but playing Metal Gear Solid really did ensure that that I was stunted with girls for a much longer time, because that game, in its storytelling and in its ability to convey fairly subtle emotion, uh, and, and and at least emotion, um, was incredible. And it was the first game that really sort of slapped me about the face and said, "You need to pay attention to this," because instead of television that you watch, with your family at night, or instead of books that you kind of aren't really interested in reading, this is a medium that has real potential for you. And it excited me, and it got me interested in games again, but it got me interested in them in a very different way. So it's very important. And the third most influential one, I don't actually own. It's Tony Hawk's 2. And the reasoning is music. The music that was included in the game was absolutely superb. It was a fantastic hip hop and punk rock and new metal soundtrack. And around the time of its release, I wasn't really into music, and I was one of the last kind of kids in my neighborhood that wasn't into music. And it showed me Bad Religion and Pennywise and God, all sorts of stuff that I should probably list. Millencolin and that kind of stuff. And it got me into sort of SoCal 90s punk rock, and it would then come to influence my music taste, and consequently my music taste would influence being quite a radical sort of music, or at least a radical music scene. It kind of inspired me to check out sort of left-wing politics and get interested in that kind of thing, and make me think very critically of our government and the man. And but it would make me think very critically of society and how it treats its individuals, and that kind of thing. And that would also in turn then kind of re-inspire me to how I criticize games again, and how I think about games, and how I think about life. So that is an extremely important game as well, that sort of action sports platformer. So there we have it. Three super influential games in the life of Zero. What are yours? Let me know on twitter.com/000 and WordPress dot no here YouTube, that'll do, 000.wordpress.com. Haha, knew I get it.